Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on that like button if you like my video. Also click on that notification bell. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome to my course, Complete Windows Server Administration course. I know why you are here. You are here because you are looking for a Windows course that will help you find a job, right? Or you're probably looking for a Windows administration course that will help you and level up your career or refine your existing skills. Well, whatever your need is, I'll tell you that in Windows administration courses out there, you have come to the right place. I actually do not assume anything. I do not assume that you know anything about Windows. Therefore, I will hold your hand and take you every step of the way and teach you everything about Windows. Fair enough? So, now this is about my course. Now, let me tell you about myself. My name is Imran Afzal, and I've been in IT for almost a decade and a half. I have a bachelor's degree in computer information systems from Baruch College in New York City, and I have MBA in computer information system from NYIT, also from New York City. Now, I ask you only two things. One is I actually want you to go on Udemy and find out what other students have to say about my other courses. And then you will find out whether this course will be the right fit for you. And the second thing is, please give me 2 to 3 minutes after this video and watch my course syllabus. That's where I actually have included everything that I will go over in this training. And then you decide whether this course will be the right fit for you. How's that? Fair enough, right? All right, let's go.
Welcome to Syllabus Overview. This is we are going to cover everything that I'm going to teach you in this course. I have broken down my entire training in 10 modules. Module 1 is about understanding Microsoft Windows, which are what is Windows, different versions of Windows, Microsoft background and products, Microsoft market share, difference between Windows, Linux, and Macs. You need to know the differences of all operating systems. And then every module, I have included quizzes, handouts for you to read, and do some homework after every module. Moving on to module 2, this is where we're going to set up our lab. And lab will include the Oracle VirtualBox installation, and then we'll create our first Oracle virtual machine, and we will do some of the quizzes, handouts that you need to know about the Oracle virtual machine, and we'll do some homework. Then in module 3, which is about installation of Windows and configuration, the fun part, guys, which we will learn how are the different ways to install operating system. We will learn how to download and install Windows 2016 as well as 2022. We'll know how to add resources, meaning CPU memory if there's a need to, hostname, system information, GUI overview, and handout quizzes and homeworks. Module 4, moving on with system access and file system. What we will cover is about Windows accessing, file system and its description, navigating to different file system. What are the different ways to create files and different type of files, file properties, finding files and directories, file maintenance, copy, delete, move, rename. This is not just the Windows click and double click and move and around. I am also going to show you to do these copy delete from the command line, file operations, file editing shortcut keys, and moving on to Module 5, System Administration, the real work for you, which is user account management, elevating user roles, monitor user activity, system utility under accessories, programs and service management, service system resources like task managers, event log, something goes wrong, you need to know how to check the events, system maintenance, every system administrator has to go through that, jobs and schedules when you need to automate tasks, Windows settings, server manager dashboard, installing and uninstalling programs, what are the applications, Microsoft and third party ones, what are the shortcut keys for Windows, check system health and hardware. Then we'll get into one step ahead, which is the advanced administration for Windows. Roles and features installations, domain controller, and Active Directory installation. DNS installation and Active Directory installation, management of users and computers, Moving on to installing client computer. We will install the client and we will join the client to Windows Active Directory. Administrative Center, Active Directory Domain and Trust, module for PowerShell, site and services, group policy management. All of them are different features Active Directory has to offer that we will cover in this module. DNS administration, I'll show you how you could add records in DNS. Web server installation, this is where you will learn how you will create your first website. Moving on to module 7, which is about scripting. Everything the scripting you will learn in batch. You'll create your own script. You'll automate your task. You will know how to run PowerShell, PowerShell commands, PowerShell ISC, and WMIC commands. I will show you the difference commands between DOS and PowerShell. Then networking and system updates. We will go over NIC, what NIC is, NIC teaming, network configuration, updates, NTP file transfer method, FTP server installation. This is the fun exercise. Sharing file system, WSUS server installation. This is the server installation where we'll send out our updates to the clients. Windows firewalls. Moving on to module 9, components. What is computer storage components? Type of computer storage, how to add a disk, extend a disk cleanup, defragmentation, RAID, Windows backup and restore, quiz, handouts, and so much more. I am already getting tired and we are still not over yet. Module 10, the last one, which I have added additional resources, IT components, jobs, resume, interview workshop, post resumes. I will teach you every step of the way how you could work with your resume and what are the different techniques for your interview. We'll install Oracle VirtualBox on Mac, and then of course quizzes, handouts, and homework. So all these modules that I have covered, now ask yourself just one question: is this the right course for you? What is Windows? Well, I'm sure everybody knows what Windows is, but to actually really get to um, the basics of the fundamentals of how Windows is, how Microsoft built Windows, and how it works in our computer, let's take a look. Well, Windows is an operating system which sits in the middle of your hardware and users. So you have a hardware, right? A piece of brick that, or it's your laptop that you could feel, you could touch it. Then you actually strike some commands on your keyboard and then you create some programs, you run those programs, right? But there is a middleman in the middle that actually allows you to do that. That middleman is the operating system. And this topic, this lesson, we're going to learn the Windows operating system. So the way it works is, again, you have this machine, right? Physical machine. What you do is you pop the tray out and you insert the CD inside, or DVD of Windows operating system inside. So you boot off the DVD, and once you boot off, it will start asking you questions and it will go through the installation of the entire operating system, whether that operating system is Linux, Windows, Mac, or any kind of operating system. Once it goes through the entire installation of the operating system, at the end, it will give you a message. Hey, welcome to the Microsoft Windows. You have successfully installed Microsoft Windows, and so on. Then what you do is you attach the peripherals outside devices like keyboard, mouse, and then you could actually execute commands from your keyboard. So you actually use your hand, fingers, or whichever way that you want to communicate to the operating system, and those peripheral devices will talk to the operating system. Then operating system will send out your instructions to other peripheral devices, such as like a printer. You want to print something, right? It will send that command to the other hardware. Or if you want to send an email or text message to someone else, it actually goes to the internet and it sends those traffic out for you. So this is what exactly the operating system does, and that's what we are going to cover in this entire training course. But you should really know how it works before we actually get into deeper inside to the Windows operating system. The different versions of Windows. Let's look at them and see what versions are there for Windows desktop versions and Windows servers. So I could actually go into and list every one of them on this slide, but it's better that I could just go straight into the Wikipedia, the website that has the list of all the Microsoft Windows versions. So let's go, and I have a page open, and if you go down, or even if you type list of Microsoft Windows versions in your Google, you'll get this page in the Wikipedia. I'll start going down from the first version Microsoft came up with. So Windows 1 dot 01 came in November 20th, 1985. This is the desktop version when the Windows was first introduced. Now I'll skip every 5 years and you see, let's see what happened in 1995. In 1995, Windows NT came along, which was also one of the beginning, more, I would say, successful version of Windows, where a lot of features were introduced, a lot of new roles, and programs that were introduced in Windows NT 3.5. Then 5 years later, in 2000, they came up with Windows 2000 and Windows ME, which is also a lot of times used. Windows ME was used on handheld devices. Windows 98 was also one of the successful operating system at that time. Then 5 years later, Windows XP, Professional XP or Windows XP, around that came in. A couple of years later, Windows Vista was introduced. Windows Vista, I would say, had a few flaws at the beginning. They tried to fix it, but it was not as successful as Windows 7. Windows 7, which I still use it, I love it. It's a great operating system. I'm simply afraid to go to Windows 8 or 9, in matter of fact. But I heard Windows 10, which was introduced on July 29th, 2015, is one of the greatest operating system that's been introduced by Microsoft. I haven't actually tried that yet, but I do work on Windows 2016 Server, which is quite similar to Windows 10, which is the desktop version. So anyway, these all versions that we are discussing right now, all of them are the Windows desktop version. These are not the Windows server related versions. So let's look at the servers. If we scroll down, you'll see right here it says server versions. So we'll start from the oldest one. So the oldest one was introduced, Windows NT server version, in August 1993. Then a few years later, Windows 2000 Server 3 was introduced, and R2 came along with a few additions to it. That's also one of my favorite operating system, 2003. I have actually worked extensively on 2003, built a lot of DNS servers, Active Directory, Microsoft Exchange servers. A lot of those things or features were added or introduced during that time. Windows 2008 server came in 2008, as it goes by the year. 9 that came up with R2 now comes to 2012. Now a lot of people actually went straight from 2008 to 2016, where because there are a lot of good features that have been introduced in 2016, but it doesn't mean that 2012 was a failure. It was a good operating system, but 2016 has a lot to offer as well. Now they are working on a beta version on Windows 2019 server. The date is unknown. As it says right here, perhaps it's going to be the fourth quarter of 2018, which is the last 3 months of 2018. We'll see what comes up, what are the new things that have been added to it. So anyway, these are the things that we should know about Windows. If you are learning Windows, then I would say you should really know which version came when and what the different versions out there. If you are working, if you want to become a Linux guy, you should know all the versions and all the different flavors of versions. So just like that, you go to a college, they tell you, if you want to learn Windows, they tell you every single thing about Windows before they actually even get into working with Windows operating system. So I'm just picking this up. I'm just putting everything in a very short time, so you should know what are the different versions of Windows out there. Now it's time to look at some of the history of Microsoft. Again, I will say that these are few things that I want you to know, because as if you are in Windows field, you should know who built the Windows. Of course, I'm sure everybody knows Microsoft did, but there are a few things that I think I should refresh your memory. So we'll talk about some of the background and some of the products of Microsoft that they are offering nowadays or have offered in the past. So Windows is owned by, everybody knows, I believe it's owned by Microsoft, right? So, Microsoft is co founded by, I left that as a blank for you to fill, and Paul Allen on April 4th, 1975. So, you tell me, who is it founded by? Hmm? Bill Gates, right? That's something everybody knows that. Even if you are not a Microsoft or Windows guru or you have no expertise in Windows, everybody knows that. But so we should also know another partner he had was Paul Allen. They are the one who actually introduced Windows in 1975. So when Microsoft first started the operating system, you know what they came up with? You're probably thinking that Windows GUI environment where you do click, click, click. Not really. They first came up with Microsoft DOS, and this is how the DOS looks like, right? You could see that. You could go to your start menu, you could type CMD as command or full command word, and then hit enter, and this window will pop up. So if I go it now, I'll just hit my window key on my keyboard, and I will type right here CMD. And when I hit enter, you'll see this DOS window is still there if you wanted to run Microsoft Windows, all the commands related stuff. So if you don't want to perform tasks, let's say if you want to copy file or folder, from right clicking it and pasting it, you could use Windows commands, the command line in DOS, to do that for you. So it's not just that you are just bound to the GUIs, you could do that as well. So this is about the DOS. That's when they came out first, and then of course then they came out with Microsoft Windows GUI environment, and that's why it was so successful, because not everybody is so much comfortable with running commands. So when they introduced GUI, everyone in the world was like amazed that they could do so much with computers now. So moving on, let me just click here. Next, I have the Microsoft products. What are the different products out there? Maybe you probably know a few of them, but there might be a few of them that you don't know that they are also owned by Microsoft. And they are innovating every day and every day. So the first thing, of course, is Windows. Windows is the product of Microsoft, followed by some of the software related products are Office. This is one of the best tools. I use it all the time. I use it for my PowerPoint presentation. Even this presentation that I'm doing, it's on Microsoft PowerPoint. Word, you guys know that. Excel, amazing tool to do your calculations, and so much more that are added to the Microsoft Office package. Then they recently came up with Microsoft Azure. Azure is a cloud product that allows you to run your compute. When I say compute, meaning your computer related environment, anything that needs CPU, memory, hard drive, all that stuff, that's called compute. Anything that you need, you don't have to host all those servers local in your own data center. You could just simply go to Microsoft and open up an account with Azure, and you could actually build the servers there. See, now it has become so easy for you. If you wanted to open up your own company as a startup, and you're thinking, hey, I would have to hire a big data center. I have to run few servers there with so much CPU, memory, cabling, hiring people, this and that. Not anymore, guys. Life is becoming easier and easier in terms of technology. So Microsoft has this technology called Azure. Same thing, Amazon also has the same technology for virtualization, where you could actually host everything at the Amazon EC2 Cloud. Then we have other product of Microsoft. One of them is Microsoft SQL Server. Very good product. People actually have professional in it, professional expertise in just, and they only deal with Microsoft SQL Server, and those people are the database guys. The products is amazing. Their other comparison of the databases are like they're out there, like SQL, sorry, not SQL, Informix database, and there are a few others ones. Then moving on, MSN, you guys have that probably seen so many times. MSN is a website, is owned by Microsoft. If you're using hotmail.com, I still use hotmail.com with my email. That is all Microsoft. Skype, you know how that amazing product is. If you are here, let's say if you are in US and your friend is somewhere in Japan or Australia, you could easily talk to them and see their face through Skype. Very innovative technology. I love it. I love it. Then Microsoft Visio, amazing product which allows you to actually design and create diagrams of your data center, your computers, or your even your house, anything that you wanted to do with Visio. SharePoint, very good software by Microsoft. Then Microsoft Exchange. A lot of people use Microsoft Exchange as their email server, which has been there and it's been so successful. A lot of companies use Microsoft Exchange. Active Directory, amazing product. What it does, it actually creates and manages your user accounts as one central place. And we'll talk about that later as well. Then moving on to the hardware side, nowadays they're coming up with Surface, the laptops. They're building their own hardware now. So Surface is one of the hardware they're coming up with. Xbox, boom, boom, boom. Love that. A lot of games. My nephew loved this Xbox. Actually, he is on Xbox all the time, and I'm sure every kid out there, even adults, they have mature rated games. Amazing things you could do with Xbox. It's a platform where you could have actually add games to it. I believe a lot of times now you could actually play games with each other online. Then we have Windows Phone. That is, I don't know if it was been so much successful yet or not, but the Windows Phone are out there. I don't have one. Maybe someone who has used it probably would know more about it. But anyway, these are a few items that I have listed that are the products of Microsoft. If you really wanted to know every single product of Microsoft, you could just go ahead and type on search online and type Microsoft products and you'll see tons of products. Well, in this lesson, you do need to know all those products that are supported by Microsoft. So this way, if you are out in the field, if you know that, oh, you are dealing with SharePoint, oh, okay, so this is related to Microsoft. If there's an issue with Active Directory, you're not picking up and calling Red Hat, right? So these are a few things that you should know about, who owns what. That's why I'm bringing this lesson to this training course. Let's look at Windows market share. When I say market share, I mean by how many people in the world, in this entire world, uses Microsoft Windows as compared to other operating system. Now keep in mind, this chart that I'm going to show you, it is based on the desktop environment. And I'm sure if you know what a desktop environment is as opposed to server environment. Desktop environment, if you don't know, anybody who uses a computer at home for personal use, that's a desktop environment. Even if you are at work and you are using a computer operating system to do everyday work, that is also a desktop environment. Servers, whereas the servers are concerned, they only deal with specific application to run. They don't care about little programs or games or calculators or stuff like that that you need to run on the server. So anyway, let's get into it, and I'm going to show you the market share of Microsoft Windows. Okay, as you could see right here in front of you, this is the chart that I got it from worldwide OS market share website. It's from January 2017. If you want to get the latest one, whichever the year you are in or month you're in, you could simply type Microsoft Windows market share 2018, 19, 20, 20, 21. Anyway, Windows has 91.41% market share. Wow. As compared to Linux, which is 2.27, Mac 6.32. And if you want to actually go more into detail of Windows different operating system versions, what are the different ones, you'll see on the right hand side, you'll see all the different operating system. And Windows 7, as you could see, it was one of the successful and most amazing. I love it. Windows 7 that's still used, I still use, a lot of people still use, has the most market share within Windows versions. Okay, so now you see this chart, right? Now keep, again, I'm saying keep that in mind. This entire purple thing is Windows desktop environment where people use at home, even at work, to do everyday daily tasks. This has nothing to do with the server or corporate level application environment. Mac, a lot of people use Mac 6.32. Okay, amazing 6.32. Still a lot good. You use that, people use that mostly for graphical related applications. Linux, now Linux is, you probably heard, Linux is isn't that the server type of operating system? Yes, mostly it is, but there are Linux desktops as well. One of the leading desktop of Linux flavor is Ubuntu. People use Ubuntu as their desktop environment a lot of times. Now, there's another one, Fedora. There's another one, SUSE. But anyway, those are the different platform or flavors of Linux that can be used for desktop. Of course, we cannot win against Windows for it, but still there are a few of them. But if you wanted to flip this whole thing compared to the servers, then I'll tell you, Linux or Unix out there has a lot more bigger market share on the server side than Windows. Anyway, if you want to know more about how you could distinguish between each operating system market shares, and if you want to learn more, be my guest. Go ahead, find out online. Okay, let's cover Windows versus Linux versus Mac. What are the differences are out there? Maybe you probably know a lot of them yourself, but there might be a few of them that I do want to cover really quick. Now, as you know, with almost 90% of the operating system market share, you can't miss Windows, right? It is in commercial building, industrial facilities, as well as at home computers. Well, Windows, having been introduced in 1985, it is very mature and complete piece of software. Yes, but yes, as I said, it has flaws too. But before we get into the flaws, let's look at the pros, the advantages. Well, first thing I would say, the compatibility. Almost every application, driver, or game will work on Windows. Amazing, right? Then we have technical problems. Every time there are any game, oh sorry, any software, there are issues with it, right? So technical support is so much available, meaning having so many users in the world, you can always find someone either online or offline who can help you with Windows. You could just search something and you're going to find a lot of articles. And then easy, it is user friendly, meaning it has a GUI. You could simply, even if a person never used Windows before, they could, by just setting it for an hour, they will figure it out how easy it is. Now let's get into some of the flaws of Windows. Viruses, yes, that is something that we cannot get away. You may need to buy antivirus programs. Although free ones exist, but you probably have to pay for it because your Windows machine face the internet a lot of times, and there are a lot of viruses out there. And what happened is a lot of viruses get in, the Windows gets slow. You've probably seen so many times when you are trying to multitask something in Windows, you see an hourglass or something that's spinning and spinning and spinning, and you're waiting and waiting and waiting. especially in Windows Vista. So much issues it was out there with Windows. But anyway, that's one of the problem with Windows, and of course, price. Windows is expensive as compared to Linux or Mac. Now, moving on to Mac. Now, Mac, which is owned by Apple, Macintosh operating system is an even older than Windows. It is the first ever successful graphical based operating system, being released 1 year before its Microsoft counterpart. Did you know that? Well, that's something now you it's in your knowledge base now. Now let's look at some of the advantages. Viruses, it's virus free. Yes, not Microsoft, Apple Mac gets almost no viruses. This is mostly due to Windows superior market share. Um, you know how it is. Windows has a huge market, and of course, when you compare the statistics, and then of course, then the statistics will show a bigger number on Windows side. Then reliability. Macs only run on Apple computers, and they are thus less prone to hardware and software crashing. So you cannot run Mac operating system on, let's say, a Dell machine or a Samsung machine. You only run that on Apple's own hardware. Then we have graphical designing. This product is great for professional graphical designing, such as if you are an architect, engineer, in construction working, web designing, planning, aircraft designing, car designing, any kind of designing. This product is amazing. Mac operating system is amazing. Now let's look at the downfall, the disadvantages of Mac. Of course, it is expensive. You have to buy the Apple hardware with the Mac operating system. It gets costlier. And of course, it is available only in Apple. So there was advantages for it, but the disadvantages is since being it's only available in Apple, you're stuck with it. You cannot change from one hardware to another hardware. Then we have compatibility issue. Only a few programs will run on Mac and almost no games. So as compared to, of course, Windows has so many programs that you could run onto. Okay, let's talk about Linux. I have worked with Linux so much. I could tell you so many things about Linux, and I'll give you all the advantage of Linux if you want to stay with me all night. Anyway, Linux is an answer to Mac and Windows, I'll say. Yes, this means that Linux is free. Free, you can download, modify, and redistribute it without spending a dime. Linux is a younger player in the OS world. Yes, it came late, having been written in 1991 and is optimized for modern use. Well, more than Windows and Mac. Unfortunately, it has some disadvantages as well that we will talk about. Now, when I say Linux is younger player, but don't think that Linux, isn't that it came in with Bell Labs, but that was Unix. So anyway, we could get into Unix as well, but let's focus on Linux this time. So first of all, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. You could download most of the Linux flavors free online, except a few of them like Red Hat. You would have to pay, but you don't have to pay for the software. You would have to pay for the support. It's open source, meaning you could get the source code from anywhere. You could change it and you could modify it according to your requirement. No virus, amazing. It has no viruses at all. No need to download any software. Let's talk about the cons, the disadvantages. It is complicated, yes. You need to know the command line to run Linux. Most of the programs, because that's why most of the enterprise level programs they run on Linux, because they don't deal with graphical interfaces. They just want to get things done, and that's why Linux is picked over Windows or Mac. Then let's talk about compatibility. Yes, we have compatibility issues just like Mac. Only few programs run. Not every program that is available out there online that is compatible, just like in Windows, that is compatible for Linux. Not a lot of them. And then vendors, you won't find a lot of vendors selling Linux computers, meaning you cannot go on Best Buy or any of the retail store selling electronics and tell you, hey, here is the laptop that has and Linux operating system installed already for you. There are very few of them, maybe perhaps online retailers, some of them probably selling it, but not a lot of them. Anyway, these are very few advantages and disadvantages that I have covered in Windows, Linux, and Mac. I am sure you probably know a lot of them, but the point is, we're not covering every one of them, but we are covering the basic ones. So you should know, or if you are getting into Windows, you need to know all these advantages and disadvantages. What are the different ways to install an operating system? Well, there are many different ways, but the most common ways I'm going to cover, there are three most common ways. And the first one is through the CD or DVD. Now, you have a CD or DVD of an operating system, whether it's Linux, Windows, or Mac. The installation procedure of installing an operating system is the same. So the first one is you pop the tray out of your computer, whether it's a server or laptop or workstation. You pop the CD-ROM drive out, insert the CD in, and then boot from CD. Now this is the most common way, and once the CD is installed, inserted, the installation program begins. The second way is through the ISO image. You install and or you actually download the image from the vendor website. Let's say if you are installing Red Hat, CentOS, Windows, you go to Red Hat website or you go to Microsoft website, you download the ISO image, you attach that ISO image to the virtual disk of your computer. Now, how do you access the virtual disk? Every computer has a console access. For example, Dell has iDrag, HP has ILO, and so on. So there are many different manufacturers have their different way of accessing their console. Once you access the console, you could attach this ISO image as a virtual disk and start the installation. In our lesson, this is what we will be following. The third method is the network boot. This is also common in bigger organizations where they are building hundreds of computers, installing operating systems, hundred of them a day. That's when you need a network boot. Basically, you tell your computer to go to a specific IP and a specific folder that is being shared by a shared server that could be either NFS server or Samba server that attaches that file. You give an IP address and then you do the network boot. So these are the three common ways to do the operating system installation. And again, for our lesson, we will be covering the second one, which is the ISO download. We have already downloaded it, and we will attach that ISO to our virtual environment and do the installation. In this video, we will go through the process of downloading Windows Server 2016. We need this ISO image to attach it to our virtual machine and carry out the installation. Now, please note that around 70 to 75% of corporate companies still use Windows Server 2016. Yep. Now, however, if you would prefer to use Windows Server newer version like 2022, then feel free to skip this video and move on to the next one. Now, in the end, the version you choose is not important. What really important is the understanding of the concept of installing and managing the Windows Server operating system. So let's go open up our browser and type technet.microsoft.com. Hit enter. Now, if that doesn't work, then simply type download Windows 2016 and go to the link from Microsoft that says Windows Server 2016 Microsoft Evaluation Center. Click on it. and it will bring you to the page where you could download right here ISO download link 64-bit edition. Click on that and you will see it will start to download. This will bring you to the technet.microsoft.com web page that has all the downloads or troubleshooting tips that Microsoft has to offer. Go ahead and click on downloads. And then the second link, try product on Microsoft Evaluation Center. Then scroll down and click on Windows Server under Checkout Latest Product. Once you click on it, it will open up another frame at the bottom and click on Windows Server 2016. So now it brought you to the page where it says Windows Server 2016 evaluation 180 days. Start your evaluation, so click on the ISO image and click continue. Now you have to put in your first name, your last name, your organization. You could type in your organization as home, eval, your email address, your phone number, and the country. So if you are not in the United States, you could pick your country and your region, whichever region you are in, and then click continue. Once you click continue, it will ask you to select your language, pick your preferred language, and click download. Now this is going to download the ISO image for Microsoft Windows Server 2016 Data Center Eval. This is going to take about 48 minutes to an hour depending on your computer speed. So once you have it downloaded on your computer, then we could attach that ISO image to our virtual machine and start doing the installation of the operating system. Hey folks, in this video we will go over the installation process of Windows Server 2016. It is important to note that as of today, approximately, I would say 70 to 75% of corporate organizations still utilize Windows Server 2016. Yep. The remaining companies have either upgraded to Windows 2022 or in the process of doing so. So, regardless of which version you choose, the key takeaway is to understand how to install and manage a Windows server within a corporate environment. And that's what we will learn in this course. If you want to go with Windows Server 2022, then feel free to skip this video and proceed to the next one. Now, for those who want to go with 2016, then let's go and do some installation. So I will go straight into my start menu and I'll click on Oracle Virtual VM VirtualBox. Okay, it will start up, and as you can see, I have two VMs already there. One is for my Linux, and the second one is for my Windows. Now our focus is the Windows one, so we'll go ahead and click on Start. Okay, as soon as you start, since this virtual machine has no operating system, it will ask you, please select a virtual optical disk file or physical optical drive containing a disk to start your new virtual machine from. And some more information, but anyway, you can read it. But if you have a DVD, actually a real DVD inserted into your PC, then you could select the D drive and it will pick it up the ISO image. But since we downloaded it from the website, we have a file saved. So we'll click on this little folder and we'll go into our image. So let me do the list view so you'll see it. One of the ISO image, I have Linux CentOS, and the other one is this Windows Server 2016 Data Center Eval. This is the one we are going to pick for our installation. So we'll double click here, and this is going to attach that. Now I have something in the back. It says creating process for virtual machine Lab Windows. Okay, let it be. Now let's click Start. So as soon as we picked up the ISO image, it was trying to attach that file in the background. That's what the message was about. Now, as soon as you start your Windows installation, you'll see first of all these two top messages that you'll see. It's actually telling you you have auto capture keyboard option turned on. This will cause the virtual machine to automatically capture the keyboard every time the window VM is activated and make it unavailable to. Anyway, you could read more about it. So basically what it's saying is keyboard and mouse pointer is every time you are coming inside of this window, your mouse and keyboard will be captured. If you want to go outside, you see I cannot go outside of this. To do that, to release your mouse or keyboard, you would have to type the control key, which is on the right hand side control key of your keyboard. If you notice, you have two control keys. One is on the left and one is on the right of your keyboard. So always press the right control key to exit out from this window. Anyway, since we are working here, we'll just leave it as is. Let's get into our 2016 installation. I'll go ahead and close this out. The language to install English United States. If you are in a different region, you could pick accordingly time and currency format English United States, keyboard or input method US. Again, you could pick any of these according to your region requirement. Go ahead and click next. And basically, it gives you two options. One is to install now, and the second one is to repair your computer. You would need this repair your computer when you have some issues with your Windows machine, meaning your Windows machine corrupted or something went wrong, or you maybe need to recover your administrative password, rescue your operating system, all of those. Then you would have to actually repair your computer. You'll pick that option. So for now, we'll go ahead and click on Install Now. Now basically at this time, it is actually picking all the packages that are associated with this ISO image that we have downloaded. Okay, so the first one is giving us the standard evaluation. Second one is standard evaluation desktop experience, which will also have some of the desktop features. Windows 2016 Data Center Evaluation and Windows 2016 Data Center Evaluation Desktop Experience. So the standard one is very simple one, probably not going to have a lot of packages with it. You cannot probably run Active Directory or DNS or those advanced feature. Desktop Experience is some of the desktop GUI type of programs that comes with it. If you pick this one, we are going to pick the one that has pretty much everything. Also, it tells you at the bottom is this option is useful when a GUI is required. For example, to provide backward compatibility for an application that cannot be run on a server core installation. All server roles and features are supported. See, server features roles are supported, meaning if you wanted to actually, after going through the Windows installation, if you wanted to set up this Windows machine as an Active Directory or DNS or any of the features that we'll cover later, then you will all those are available with this data center evaluation. So if you are in a corporate environment, I would say 99% of the time you will be picking this data center evaluation because we are actually going to do the installation of the server level. Go ahead and click next. Okay, this is the license acceptance page. You could read it. It's pretty long, but some of the important information, some of the updated information, the versions and software, what is included, was not. And if you accept it, go ahead and click on this check mark and click next. Okay, which type of installation do you want? First one, upgrade install Windows and keep files, setting, and application. The files, settings, and applications are moved to Windows with this option. This option is only available when a supported version of Windows is already running on this computer. Do we have an Windows operating system already running on this computer? No, right? So we are not going to pick the upgraded option. Second option, custom. Install Windows only. Advanced. The files, settings, and applications aren't moved to Windows with this option. Okay. If you want to make changes to the partition and drive, start the computer using the installation disk. We recommend backing up your files before you continue. It is always a good idea that you should read everything. Now, I know a lot of time people are in a rush, they want to skip through it, go fast, click, 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 and done. But it is better you should read it instead of wasting time later on trying to fix the issue and then find out, uh-oh, we picked the wrong option. Anyway, so go ahead and click on this second one. On this page, it's saying, do you want to install Windows on this disk space? This is the disk space that we carved out. We dedicated that much 50 gig of disk space for this virtual machine, and that's what the Windows is picking up for you. Now you could also partition that into different drives, meaning you could click on new and you could create a C drive for 30 gig, 10 gig of drive for F, another 10 gig of for G. If you have any kind of application requirement that wants you to partition your disk into a different map drive, then you will pick this option to click new, and you will go ahead and go through the wizard to carve out that partition. Well, in this lab, we will leave everything under C drive, so we'll just click on this one and click next. Okay, perfect. Now the installation has begun. It is just that simple. I know if you are doing for the first time, you probably have to go through every wizard, every instruction that I went through. If you are doing if you have done a few times in the past, then you're probably skipping through it and flying through it. But again, as I said previously, that every time an upgraded version of Windows comes in, and you probably think, hey, I've done Windows before, I'll just skip through it. But it's always a good idea, guys, that you go through it, read everything that is shown on your screen. Okay, so first thing it's going to do is going to copy Windows file. What it means is it is going to take everything from the disk and it is going to put that into that 50 gig of drive. Once all those things, all those files, required files are copied, then it is going to download or do the installation of those files. It will run the executable, which will allow it to install that Microsoft Windows operating system on your disk. And that's what it is doing right now. It is at 16%. The next step it will do is it will install the features that we have asked during our those two different options. It will add the needed ones. It will install the updates. If your computer is connected to the internet while you are doing this installation, it will go online and it will install the updates. But if your computer does not have internet access at this time while you are doing the installation, then you don't have to worry about it. It will go out anyway. It will try it and it will fail. It can't find the server, Microsoft Update server. It will fail. But anyway, installing updates and not connecting to the installations, the update server, is not going to fail your Windows installation. And the last one, finishing up, which it will do all the post provisioning. If you have if you wanted to do some kind of pre-configuration, post configuration, meaning assigning IP, assigning host name, that type of work could also be done with the automation tools. There are a lot of automation tools that are out there. But anyway, for our lab, we are not doing anything. We will do manually all the post configuration, meaning assigning the IP if there is a static IP, assigning the host name, or checking all the things. Anyway, I am actually going to fast forward from this point on until it finish the entire installation. I don't want to waste your time. Let's do a fast forward from here, and once it's completed, then we'll pick it up from there. Awesome. So the installation has been completed. It is going through the restart. So Windows is going to reboot. All right, we are at the point where we have to specify a password for our administrator. Try to remember that password. If you lose it, you're probably gonna have to boot your machine on a single user mode, and then go through the repair thing. Anyway, so now we have this Windows installation successfully completed. If you guys are at this point, I will tell you that congratulations, you should pat your back because you have done an amazing job. This is your first time installation. If you are doing the first time, awesome job, and you did not go through any problem and installation was smooth, then awesome. So now you need to do Alt Control Delete. See, press Alt Control Delete to unlock. You go into Input and type keyboard. Click on keyboard and put in Insert Control Alt Delete, and it will send the Control Alt Delete inside of your machine. Looks like it didn't work. Let me try again. Okay, finally took it. Okay, now I will put in the password. Welcome. All right, we are at the desktop screen with all the information that we need in Windows 2016 server. This is basically what you see. You don't see my computer icon, but you mostly are used to seeing that my computer. You only see a recycling bin. If you wanted to go to my computer, you could go to this Windows icon, start menu, and then you will see all the programs under it. See, first it's gonna run the server manager, and that is something we'll cover later on anyway. So this is how you do the installation. Congratulations once again, guys, and now you could try to see what are the things that you could play around with. Hey folks, in this video we are going to download Windows Server 2022. All right, for that, of course, we have to open up our browser and pick a browser of your choice. I will pick Google Chrome, and from here simply type download Windows 2022 and go to the link that has Microsoft on it. So make sure it is the Microsoft one. It says Windows Server 2022 Microsoft Evaluation Center. Click on that. All right, when you get to this page, you will see Get Started for free, and you're going to see different versions. Sorry, not versions, but different ISO images for different platform. So there is a for Azure, and there is for Virtual Machine Azure, and this is the one you need to download, which says download the ISO. Click on it. All right, so once you get to this page, you'll see it says Evaluate Windows Server 2022. Register for your free trial today. So input your first name, your last name, your email address, your company name. You could put in just home, country and region. You could put the region or pick the region where you are. I am in United States, so I have picked United States. Company size, you could put in just one because it's just you. Job role, you could just put student, and then country code. So again, for me, it's going to be United States and the number. Then you could put in any comment or question you have, and then you could also check this. box right here if you would like Microsoft to share your information with select partners. Then simply click on download. All right, now you are on a different page where you will see different languages and different ISO downloads. So click on the one which is says a 64-bit edition. And it will start to download. You will see right here on your browser the download progress. All right, while it is downloaded, you could come down, scroll down, and you will see here prerequisite. Review Windows Server, release notes, and system requirements. So make sure you click on that and make sure your system has the required resources to do the installation. Then also make sure register, then download, install. This evaluation edition expires in 180 days, which I think is more than enough for you to go through the entire practice and learn Windows. All right, so installation guidelines, go to Microsoft Update Catalog and search for Windows Server 2022. You don't need that because I am here to provide you that guidance to go through the installation in the next video. And then the last point is evaluation version of Windows Server must activate over the internet in the first 10 days to avoid automatic shutdown. So basically what they're asking you to activate the trial version. If you don't, then your OS will shut down, the Windows operating system will shut down. All right, so the download will take anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes, depending on your network speed, your computer resource speed. So, anyway, just wait for it to download. And then in the next video, we will go through the installation of a Windows Server on our Oracle VirtualBox. Hey folks, let's do some fun. Let's do the installation of our Windows Server 2022 on our Oracle virtual machine that we created earlier. Okay, so of course for that we have to have the Windows ISO image downloaded, which we did. So now it's time to take that image and attach it to our virtual machine. So let's go to our Oracle VirtualBox. I have already opened right here, and this is the virtual machine that we created earlier. Now simply go ahead and click on Start. Okay, once you have this window open, you could go ahead and minimize the Oracle VirtualBox Manager window right here. So this way we'll focus on only on this window. All right, so no bootable medium found because we don't have or the virtual machine have not found any operating system. So we have to attach Windows operating system ISO image. And for that, I want you to click on this drop down, click on other, and this will pop up the Windows folder explorer. And I have my Windows operating system ISO image saved or downloaded in a desktop. And right here is the ISO image. Select that and simply click open. And click on mount and retry boot. Okay, while it's going through that, I just wanted to tell you that this little auto capture keyboard thing is just a message. It's telling you that if you click inside of this window, your mouse will be captured inside of the window. And if you want to release this mouse, you have to click on a right control key on your keyboard. See, it says right here as well. So that's what this message is about. So simply go ahead and ignore it or cancel right here. And let's move this right here in the middle so we will have a good view to go through the installation. All right, very good. So first thing is language to install, English, time and currency format, and keyboard or input method, US. I am in US and I go through the English, so you could pick based on your region or your preference. Go ahead and click next. Click on install now. Okay, when you come to the screen, the default one, the operating system is Windows 2022 Standard Edition. And there are other editions as well. I want you to pick the Data Center Evaluation Edition because this will offer a lot more features and will mimic the environment of what corporate world uses. If you're already in corporate world, you probably know that most likely you're running the enterprise or data center version. So go ahead and pick this one. And as you pick each one of them, you'll see its description changes as well. And you could read through the description as well. All right, select this one, click next. Okay, now notice and license terms. You could go through it, read it if you like, and then simply click I accept the Microsoft software license terms and click next. All right, now we have two options. Which type of installation do you want? The first one is the upgrade, meaning if you already have a Windows operating system running, then you could keep the files or settings and then upgrade. Since we do not, and we are doing this for the very first time, it's a fresh install, then it means we'll pick the second option, which is the custom option. Simply click on it. The next screen telling you that this is the disk space you have, and do you want to install your operating system on this disk? Yes, this is the 50 gig that we carved during our virtual machine creation. So leave it default and click next. Okay, so now the actual installation has started, and this is going to take anywhere from 5 minutes to, I would say, up to 30 minutes as well. So please be patient. It all depends on your system resources, the computer that you're using. So once it completes, I will fast forward, of course, from here. So once it completes, then I'll come back and we'll take it from there. Okay, the installation has pretty much completed. It's going to restart the operating system. Okay, now it's going to reboot again, but please make sure do not press any key and just let it reboot. Okay, we are on the page on customized settings. This is the username administrator, which is a super user account of Windows. You have to set the password for that user. Pick a strong password, of course, and click finish. All right, it's going to reboot the Windows operating system again, and then it will come back. Right here, you have the main screen, the home screen of your Windows operating system. Right here, if you notice, it says press Control Alt Delete to unlock. Now, keep in mind if you're using your Windows as a main operating system and you press Control Alt Delete, it will actually going to lock or give you the option on your main computer, not on your VM. So, in order to use these functions, you have to go to Input, Keyboard, and then click on Control Alt Delete. All right, now you got the login screen. Go ahead and input the password that you created earlier. Now this is going to set up the profile for the first time because you're logging in for the first time on the Windows machine. Now, if you see a black screen for a little while, don't worry about it. It's just setting up his profile for the first time. All right, now you have your desktop right here, a Windows desktop available to you. You will notice as soon as you log in and you log in for the first time, there will be a server management menu that will show up. There it is, server manager. Okay, every time you're gonna log in or reboot your machine, at this server manager dashboard will show up. If you don't want it to show up, you could just simply click here, don't show this message again. Try managing servers with Windows Admin Center. Click close here. And then here you have you configure this local server. These are all the options that you have to add the roles, the features, or how you want to have your server, the Windows server, to be managed. A lot of these things that we will cover in our upcoming lectures. Now, some of the lectures that you're going to notice that are actually on Windows 2016 and 2022, but don't worry about it, the version doesn't really matter. What matters is that you understand the concept and know why these features are for or how to get them to work. All right, I'll see you in the next video.
In this lesson, we are going to cover how we could add resources to a virtual machine. Now, what are the resources? Resources are the memory, CPU, disk space, network cards, or anything that you add to your machine that will make it function better or enhance its operation. So by default, if you notice, when we built our virtual machine for Windows, we picked default setting for memory, default setting for CPU. Now, if your VM where you have the Windows installed, if that Windows operating system is not functioning very fast, meaning if it is taking a long time to open up a window or to a certain task, then you could add more resources to that VM. Now, of course, it depends on your own PC or your own workstation where you are actually running that VM. If your own PC has limited resources, has very few memory and very few CPU, then I'm sorry guys, you are out of luck. Then you cannot add more resources, because if you add more resources to this VM, then your own machine might not function properly. So anyway, also one more thing I do want to tell you, when you actually assigning, let's say 2 extra gig of memory to your virtual machine, that virtual machine would only use that memory whenever it needs it. Otherwise, that memory stays with your primary operating system, which is your own laptop or your own PC. Anyway, before I add more resources to my virtual machine, I wanted to check if my own PC has enough resources to share with my virtual machine. So go ahead and click on your Windows key on your keyboard. That will start up your start menu, and right click on the computer and click on properties. Here you will see some of the resources, especially under system, and it says I have 6 gig of memory installed. I have processors with this speed, which is likely 4 CPU I could right click on my taskbar, start task manager, and you see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 CPUs. I have total 6 gig of memory. So anyway, if you are going to assign 2 CPU to your virtual machine and like 4 gig of memory to your virtual machine, then you're still okay with your own host operating system. So I have verified that. Now what I will do is I'll go to my virtual machine. Right here I have my virtual machine window, and make sure the resources that you're adding to that VM is powered off. Now go ahead and click on setting and go to system. In the system frame window, you'll see a tab says motherboard. Now in the motherboard, you see by default it has assigned 2 gig of memory. Remember, 1 gig is equal to 1024 megabyte. 2 gig is 1024 times 2, which is 2048 megabyte. So if you are giving 4 gig of memory, then open up your calculator and simply type 4 times 1024, and you'll get 4096, and you could go in here and simply type in that number. Now I want to leave my memory as is for now, because I will just add the processor, and well, I'll check if adding more processor will actually speed up my virtual machine. So I'll right now I have 1 CPU, which is also called a vCPU, meaning virtual CPU. I'll go ahead and slide that bar, drag it to the right, and it will automatically change it to 2. You can also type in 2 directly inside this box. But for now, I'll just leave it 2 for CPU. Motherboard, again, memory, I'll leave it as is.
If after starting this machine, my virtual machine, if I still see that I still need more resources, I'll come back to it and I will raise my memory. I'll share it with my own operating system, computer main operating system. So for now, these are the two things I need to add. And again, you can add that only if your virtual machine Windows operating system where you have installed is running slow. So go ahead and click OK. Once you click OK, now you could go ahead and click on Start. It will start up, verify how it works, and if it still need more resources, you could come back, power it off first, come back to it, and click on Setting, and then change the resources. So that's why I wanted to cover this topic, especially here, because you might see some of the slowness on your virtual machine for Windows. And of course, Windows is primarily a GUI, which is graphical user interface type of operating system, and it does need more memory or more CPU to process some of your tasks. Host name and system information. Now we have our system built. Now we wanted to cover how can we change your system operating system host name. Um, every time you build a new system, the system should have a name and it should have an IP if it is not DHCP. But since our VM Windows machine runs as a DHCP IP, it already has that. So now we need to work on changing its host name. So host name can be identified to its server. Then we will check the system information, meaning the system that we built, which is a Windows, how much resources we have, how can we check that? What are the different ways we could check that? And why that is so important for us to check that, right? That's the main question. And of course, the reason we need to check that is because if you're running application and it's running slow, you need to know what's going on. So these are the couple of things that we will cover in this lesson. So let me log into my Windows machine. Okay, I have um, the Windows machine console open. Now, if I go down, if you have a bigger screen where you are doing your installation and you could see your lab Windows VM, you're probably not going to have to scroll up, scroll down like what I'm doing. You probably have the entire desktop as showing up as one window. But since my display is the resolution and the display is not that enhanced, so I have to scroll up and scroll down. Anyway, so the first time when you log in, the first thing comes up is your server manager, which is this. Every time you will log in, you will get that. Because if you wanted to add roles and features and other services to this machine, you could do it from here. But that is something, this dashboard is something that we will cover in later lessons. For now, I will just tell you that how can you just disable the server manager to pop up every time you log into your machine or every time you reboot your machine. I know it kind of gets a little annoying. For me, it especially does. So what I do is I go to Manage and I click on Server Manager Properties. And right here you'll see do not start Server Manager automatically at login. So I will check this. The other one is specify the Server Manager data refresh period in every 10 minutes, meaning that this data information on the dashboard will refresh every 10 minutes. Anyway, you want to check on this so this way the Server Manager dashboard does not show up every time you log in. I'll go ahead and click OK. Now the first thing I wanted to do is before we change the host name, because once you change the host name, you would actually have to reboot your Windows machine for the host name changes to be affected. So first thing we'll do is we'll check the system information. And the way that I prefer to check the CPU memory two ways. One is I'll go into my search bar and I will type my computer the old ways that we always has my computer, right? So when you type in the search my computer, this computer, which is my computer used to be, now they call it this computer, then you right click on it and click on properties. Then you will see the properties window appears or opens up. This is the main window where you will know how much resources you have in your virtual machine operating system, which is Windows Server 2016 Data Center Evaluation. Now, every time you log into a Windows machine and you need to check the version, this is where you will come to check what version we are running. The processor, the speed of the processor. The installed memory is 3 gig. I increased it to 3 gig so I will have a better performance. The system type is 64-bit system, x64 based processor. Intel is the processor. Why? Because this is the processor of my own computer where I am running my virtual box. Then you will see right below it I have computer name, computer full name, and if I wanted to put a description, the work group, if I wanted to have this computer join my domain or the Active Directory, which again we'll cover later on. Windows is activated. Yes, it is activated. This is the license terms that we have accepted during the installation. If we want to purchase Windows 2016 Server license, then instead of 180 days where it will actually lock the computer, it will actually let you run Windows 2016 as well. To do that is that of course you purchase the key and you come in here and click on change product key and you enter the new product key into it, save it, and it will take the new changes. And of course then you could run a legal copy of Windows 2000 Server 2016. Anyway, so this is the one way I was telling you how you could check system properties. But if you wanted to be more specific about how many CPU you have. You see right now you only see the speed, but it doesn't tell you you have 2 CPU, 4 CPU, or 6 CPU, or whatever the number of CPU. You do get the installed memory is 3 gig. For that, you go to your task manager right here. This is the task manager. You right click to it and click on task manager. Then you come to this task manager window. You go straight to performance. There are other stuff that I will cover later on, but for this one, go to performance and you see your CPU performance. But right now, still, I don't see the number of CPU. Here, it tells you the socket is 1 and core is 3. Perfect. But if you want to see each CPU performance, how it is doing, you click on Open Resource Monitor. And then you click on CPU. And you will see right here, all your CPUs are listed. CPU 1, CPU 2, CPU 0, 1, and 2, which is like altogether 3, and each CPU performance. That's where you could check your CPU information. And memory is right here, how much memory I have installed. I have 3 gig, 3071. Total is this. Cache is 746, and available for my programs to run is 2190 megabytes. If I run other programs, of course, the available will go down. It will be used for that new program. So these are one way to check your system information. Another way that you could check your system information is through the command line. Most of the command line that you could run is you could type it right here on the search windows. So what I will do is I will either do CMD to open up my command prompt, which is the DOS right here. This is the DOS window, or I could just simply type in the search and I'll type system info, and when I hit enter, it will actually load fix the system information, but it closed the window. Why? Because it ran the script and it closed it. So for me to actually leave it on the screen is that I would have to run it from the command line. And the command line, again, to open up your DOS prompt, you type CMD. You hit enter and the DOS prompt opens up. Now you type here system info. Just that. This is the command. You hit enter. This is the CLI command line. If you are familiar with the Linux command line, you probably noticed that there are command lines just like that. Windows also have command lines. You could run it. So now you could see here, if you go up, you'll see all the information about your computer. The name, the Microsoft version, version number, what is it, how many CPU it has. If you go down, you'll see right here There are total 3 gig of physical memory and CPU information right here below it, and the cards and everything, all the information is listed right here. So this is the second way you could check your system information. Now this is about the system information. Now let's go into changing our host name. This is one of the things you really have to do every time you build your new computer, regardless of our operating system, whether you are building Linux machine, Mac, or Windows. You have to assign or give it a host name. And what host name you could give? Well, it all depends on with your company, what are the host name standards they have, and you just follow the standards. So now for this, I'll just give it the same name as I had my virtual machine name. My virtual machine name is Lab Windows, so I'll give it the same name. Anyway, this is the lab description, computer description. It's not the host name. So I'll just copy. And right here it says to rename this computer or change its domain or work group, click change. Okay, I'll go ahead and change. Now I will type in or paste my computer name. Perfect. So now it is changed. I'll click OK. And now it is applying, and it says you must restart your computer to apply these changes. Before restarting, save any open files and close all programs. Of course, as I said, always read the message. Do not just go ahead and click OK. So now you're ready to click OK. Now click apply. Again, it says changes will take effect after you restart this computer. Go ahead and click apply, restart now, yes. So now once the machine reboots and it comes back online, you log in and you will see your machine has a new host name. That's how these are the couple of topics that we wanted to cover. And this section is how to change the host name and how to check system information. Windows Server GUI overview. This is the lesson where I will cover primarily the GUI functionality of the Windows, where you will find most of your tools, your features, your roles, how you could change the desktop settings. So a few of the things that I'll cover are as follow. First thing is about desktop. I will tell you exactly how you could change the desktop, how you could organize your icons, resize them, change the setting. Then we'll go into the start menu. We have a start menu there, which looks a little different than a regular start that you are used to, and we'll cover what are the programs that are added to the start menu. Then taskbar, which is at the bottom. Every time you start a program, it shows up at the taskbar, and how we could close a program or check other programs, statistics or resource usage through the taskbar. Then the search bar, which is also part of the start menu, but I have included as a separate because a lot of times you could run commands through the search bar, so this way you don't have to actually go through the entire start menu. Anyway, so let's log into our Windows Server, and I have the GUI open right here. And as I have mentioned, the first thing I want to cover is the desktop. So you have seen the desktop right here. For the first time you build your system, this is the desktop looks like. You scroll down, you will see at the bottom, this is the taskbar. These are the quick launch programs. You could get rid of it by right clicking on it, and you could simply say unpin from taskbar if you want to. You could change the time. Right here you see the time is showing 3:51 p.m. But if you wanted to change it, all you have to do is click on it, and you could let me move this down to right here, and you could go ahead and click right here and change the time and date and time setting. Whatever the time that is in your region, you pick that region. Whatever the time zone you have, Pacific time or GMT time or Eastern time or whatever time format that you follow, you could change it right here. Same thing goes with region and speech and other related time setting. So these are all the settings that you have down here. Then you have this this is the audio service. This is speaker of your computer. If you want to enable it or disable it, you could change it. This is the icon that shows your computer is connected to the network. Right now my VM machine is connected to the Ethernet cable because my PC is actually connected to the cable. So that's why it shows right here. I'll cover that the networking part more in detail later on in the later lessons. But for this one, it's just about your GUI experience. So you'll notice you have only one icon on your desktop. This is your desktop. It used to be like 4 or 5 icons like my computer, networking, control panel, recycle bin. So now they have changed it. They only give you one icon, which is a recycle bin. You could resize that icon by right clicking on the desktop and click on view, and you could change to small, medium, or large icon. I prefer small icons, so I'll change it to small icon. So now if you want to have other icons added as well as you had previously that you are used to, some people like it. If they want to keep the if they want to have the consistency, then what you could do is you could do a right click, go to personalize, and then click on themes, then click on desktop icon setting actually. And then from here you could pick all the icons that you want to have added to your desktop. For me, I'll just pick my computer and network. And if I want to pick control panel, that's fine. You can pick control panel as well and click on apply and click OK. And you will see all these icons are showing up now. If you wanted to arrange it through any order, like sort by name, size, item type, date modifier, you could do it again by right clicking on your desktop. Now if you wanted to go back to personalized setting, and if you wanted to make change to the other settings, you could also do a lot of other settings. Like if you wanted to change the background, you wanted to change it to a different background, different wallpaper, you could pick any of those. Like if you wanted to change it to this one, you could just simply click on it. Right now it is okay, so I clicked on it, it took a little bit longer, that's why. Anyway, so shows a different wallpaper in the background. You see it changed it. I like to keep it Windows 1. I'll keep the Windows 1, so I'll change it back. And of course you have choose to fit, fill, change, stretch, and center, and different ways you could try it out. Then the color schemes, if you want a different color, right now you see it's showing blue, you could change it to orange if you like. That's for the start menu. You see right here it shows up the start menu, but I'll go back to our blue scheme. Then we have the lock screen. When my computer is locked, it will show this screen. You could change it. You could also change it, set it to your own default value. If you wanted to put your own picture, or if you wanted to put your family picture, a lot of people do that. Then what you have to do, of course, copy that picture over to your computer and go to browse and pick that picture. And then once you click on the browse, it will give you the option to select where your file is located. So see, it came up, and most likely you will have your pictures saved on your desktop. You click on desktop, you pick your picture, you click on choose picture, and it will show up whenever your computer is locked. Themes, we just went over it. If you want to go into the advanced sound settings, mouse pointing setting, if you want to change the mouse, right now it's a default setting for the mouse. I like it. I like to keep it that way. Also, sometimes people, when they hover over to the link like that, they have the hand. It changes to the hand. But if you wanted to change it to something else, you could also do it. Start menu, if you want to make changes to the start menu. Taskbar, lock the taskbar on, meaning it will stay down there. It will show up all the time. If you do not want it to show, you want a clean desktop environment, you could turn it off. There are a lot of other features that are available with the taskbar. So these are about the settings of your desktop. You also have display setting, which you could change the apps, how the app are going to show up. Are they going to show up by the sort them by the name? You have power and sleep, meaning if you wanted to have when plugged in turn off after 10 minutes. So if I don't touch my computer, it will sleep. It will put my computer to sleep after 10 minutes. If you want to make that changes to whatever the time, you could pick that time. I would recommend you that you go over every one of these settings one by one and find out exactly what needs to be done here. Because if you are getting into Windows environment, or if you are trying to find a job in Windows, or if you already are in Windows and just trying to improve your already Windows skills, then you should spend some time by going over on every setting. So this way, if you are troubleshooting any of these related issues, it will be much simpler for you to go and find it. Tablet mode, if you have this machine into tablet mode, you could convert that. Multitasking app or websites about what are the about tells you about the versions and the system information and anything that you are looking for that you can't find it here. You could also click on find a setting and type anything you want. Let's say if I wanted to do multitasking, of course I could see the multitasking right now, but if it is hidden inside of one of these settings, then it will not show up. So it's better that you just type it. So I don't know why it's taking too long, but anyway, I think you got the point. Anyway, so let's close the window. So again, do a right click if you wanted to create files and folders. Refresh the screen, and pretty much this is about our desktop. So this covers our desktop, and then next one we have is start menu. When you go down here, you'll see this window icon. Now, back in the days when the older versions of Windows, they had the start menu that actually reads start. So you would just click on it, or it would show like a button which would have a Windows logo on it. But now they've changed it. But anyway, you could just simply click on it, and you will see it opens up a lot bigger menu than it used to be. It used to be just on the left hand side, but now it shows up on kind of like two different panes. So first one is the first time you open up, it will show you anything that is mostly used. If you want to search something, server manager, that is one of the main I would say tool in Windows that allows you to do a lot of feature additions, role additions that we'll go over again later. Of course, there are different settings that we just went over. Any programs that you're looking for that are added afterwards that could be found here as well. If you go back up, you'll see there is this three lines up here. You can also click on it, and you will see it opens up another start with a setting like administrator, the settings itself, the power setting. You could click on power if you wanted to shut down or reboot. But anyway, you could click back in here. These settings will still show up. Um, if you do not see what you're trying to see here, then you could simply type in the search bar as well. We'll cover in a little bit. So what we have here is you have mostly Windows accessories. These are the ones that we usually have in the older versions where everything was like Paint, Calculator, Restores, and all other options that are saved here. Then we have Windows administrative tools. Anything that we download or install through Server Manager features and role will show up under Windows administrative tools. Windows ease of access, Windows PowerShell, Windows systems, anything that you wanted to change, any system related commands like control panel devices. This PC task manager and bunch of other programs that you could run. For now, we have under system administrative tools, we have disk cleanup, local security policy, performance. These are all the programs that are pre-built or come packaged in with Windows Server. Anything that you wanted to add something later on, you could go into the Server Manager. Let's click on Server Manager, and you will see it will give us the option to actually add, remove features and roles. So that used to be done through the my through Server Manager by click no just a management option, but now you could use it from here. You see right here, add roles and features, add other servers to manage, create server group, Connect this server to the cloud services. This is where if you have Microsoft Azure or Amazon or anything that you are trying to connect your server to. It tells you local server information, what the server name is, all the information about your own machine right now. Any other servers that are part of the server, if you have created like a HA environment or clustered environment, you'll see them here. File and storage, what are the different files and storage, what are the different types of disks we have. Anyway, it gets too much detailed, and which I will cover later on. Trust me, I don't want to go into right now, and I don't want you to think, oh boy, that's a lot of stuff to cover. So for this lesson, we'll just keep it simple. Let's close it. Now let's go into our next one, which is the taskbar. Taskbar is always at the bottom. Every time you open any program, it will show in the taskbar. So for example, if you wanted to open, let's say, calculator, CALC, um, and it opens up the calculator, and you'll see the calculator opened up, and it is showing its program on the taskbar. You could close this calculator from the program itself, or you could right click on this program and say close window. It will close the program. So also the taskbar, one of the biggest thing the taskbar is used for is for system administrators. This is something that you probably will be using almost every day whenever you are troubleshooting issues. How is, and you do right click on the taskbar. There's a list of menu that you will see is toolbar, address, links, desktop, search, anything that you want to search. The one that I am particularly concerned about is this task manager. This is the one that you will be using a lot. Now, what task manager does, it actually gives you all the processes that are running in your system. See all the list of processes. It tells you the CPU, memory, then it tells you performance, it tells you users logged in, details, services. Anyway, all of this I will cover um, in the later lessons because there's so much to cover here. So next one we have is search bar. The last one for this lesson is the search bar. Search bar is something if you wanted to access something, some of the programs, some of the features of Windows right away, if you know exactly what you are searching for, then it would be the fastest way to do it. So let's say if I wanted to go to my C drive, I'll just type C colon slash. It will take me to the C drive. That's one way. Or if the other way you are probably familiar with is double clicking my computer, and then you go to C drive right here, and then you'll see the same programs as you'll see in there. Same thing, a lot of things that could work with search windows nowadays. A lot of system administrators that I see nowadays, they use search bar all the time, because if you wanted to do, let's say, registry edit, you type reg edit, and you'll see right here, as soon as you type it, it will open up the reg edit program. So you could actually go and find that registry edit, but then you will have to go from one menu to another, to a third, to fourth. Same thing, anything, if you know the command, that's the thing. If you wanted to open up a command prompt, you will type CMD. You hit enter, it opens up the command prompt. That's pretty much about all the topics that I wanted to cover in this lesson, which is Windows Server GUI overview. So try them out. Anything that I did not cover, please do spend some time, cover everything in this lesson about this desktop, start menu, taskbar, and search bar. Hello friends, in this video we are going to cover the computer boot process, and then the computer boot process, how it starts the operating system. Now, no matter which computer you have and what operating system you're running on that computer, the computer boot process is similar across most of the hardware platform. So let's take a look at our computer. So right here we have our computer with the keyboard attached to it, and the very first thing we do whenever we need to power up our computer is that we plug it in and power on through our socket, which provides the power or electricity to our computer. Then that electricity actually goes through the motherboard, and the very first thing that powers up on the motherboard is the CPU. CPU has been, there's no instructions for the CPU as to what it should do and what it should not. Then it goes to the BIOS. The, the CPU starts and pulls instructions from the BIOS software. Now, BIOS stands for Basic Input and Output System. It is a software that is actually built by the manufacturer of a company or the hardware, and it has installed that tiny software on that little chip. And that little chip is called ROM. ROM stands for read only memory. Read only memory, as it sounds, is only readable. You cannot write anything on that chip. Then there are certain instructions the BIOS software has to look for, and it goes to another chip. And that chip is also located or also right next to or close to the BIOS chip on the motherboard. That chip is called CMOS, or complementary metal oxide semiconductor. This CMOS has the BIOS setting, including system time, date, as well as the hardware setting. And this chip, CMOS, is actually not powered through the regular power or through the outlet. It is always powered through a battery that is also located on the motherboard. That battery always keep that information of that BIOS setting onto that chip, and it does not lose in case the computer loses its power. Okay, so the CPU reads its instructions from BIOS, and one of the instructions on the BIOS is the post. That post stands for power on self-test. What what it really means is BIOS instructions telling CPU go to every device attached on the computer. Go through it and make sure they are in working condition. None of the device attached to the computer is faulty. If there is any, it will not start or it will not go further for booting up the computer. Once that test is passed, then the BIOS has that setting where or what is the next step I have to go to. Then BIOS has the instructions to now you should go to the disk. Disk is located, and on the disk on this platter there is this block that you're going to find on the disk, and that block is the first sector on that disk. That sector is called MBR, which stands for master boot record. That master boot records has the information of that operating system, whether that operating system is Windows or Linux and so on. And from this point on, the operating system gets loaded to the RAM or to the memory. Now, the operating procedure right from this time on starts on its own. Whatever the instructions the operating system has, what are the things it has to do, which program or which application it has to start first. It has its own set of instructions, and then it's that once it's loaded to the memory, the applications, and it goes back to the CPU to process it. Now, this entire process, when the CPU starts up, goes to BIOS, BIOS to CMOS, and then runs the post and go to the disk. This entire process is called bootstrap. In computer and in IT world, you're probably going to hear this word a lot as well. That what is the bootstrap process of the computer? When you hear this word bootstrap, it means how your computer is going to power on, start it up, and power on and start up the operating system. All right, so again, as I said previously, no matter which computer you have or no matter which operating system you have, the basic procedure or a process to start a computer is everything comes or simple instruction comes from the BIOS to the CPU, which has a factory set instructions as to how to perform the bootstrap.